What if I told you this was a track bike?
That statement no doubt caused some heads to explode. I can feel a disturbance in the force, like a million Harley haters crying out in unison, but stick with me on this one. I'm going to try to keep this section a little shorter because the Road Glide was first handed down to Moses on Mount Sinai in the year -653 and spent the next 2,600 years getting marginal improvements to the suspension, the motor, the infotainment system, the optional cup holder, the leather jacket you can bundle in for a little extra at the dealership, and the hog membership, which gets you 2-for-1 domestic beers at any qualifying Coyote Ugly. But in 2020, somebody had an idea. What if we took this land barge and stripped it down and went racing? In October of 2020, the first exhibition King of the Baggers race happened, and it marked a seed change for the Road Glide. It wasn't just a rolling sofa. It could be a race bike, and as the series got more and more popular, you saw more and more guys trying to take their baggers and do sporty things with them. While it is true that drawing a direct line between the Harley King of the Baggers bike and the Road Glide requires a lot of ink and a big pocketbook, there have been some attempts to bring some of the more sporting inclined features from the race bike to the street. That's where the base model ST came in. Increased suspension travel, improved brakes, and more power helped, but at its core, the ST was still a touring bike first. That's why the CVO is so interesting to me. CVO, or Custom Vehicle Operations, is Harley's limited run bikes. Typically, it's a few factory extras and a new paint job, but this bike is different. I mean, it's not. It's got carbon fiber bits, a custom solo seat, and some cool trim, but there's more. You've got, for the first time ever on a Road Glide, I think, fully adjustable suspension front and rear. You've got a switch from axial to radial mounted brakes, and instead of using some badged Brembo caliper, they have actual Brembos with floating rotors. If you ask me, they're not bragging about it hard enough on the website. They also did hamstring the calipers a little bit by using the same master cylinder you find on a lot of other touring Harleys. But they did cut the weight by 25 pounds. This is actually an attempt to start bridging the gap between the generic Road Glide and the Baggers bike. Specs wise, this is where I'm going to lose most sport bike guys, but seriously, stick with me. The new 121 is putting down 127 horsepower and 145 foot-pounds of torque, both of those numbers coming in under 5,000 RPM. Now the Rocket 3 is making more power, sure, but not by a ton, and it has almost 500 more cubes, one more cylinder, and a higher redline, and that means that with a few tweaks, the 121 could be in striking distance of the most potent cruiser motor on the market. The problem I see is twofold. The weight is 838 pounds in running order, which is a lot, but the price starts at $43,000, putting it outside the reach of most riders. You could make the argument that it's a special edition bike, and Ducati charges plenty for their special edition bikes, but no argument I make here is going to pat the Harley haters on the head. In fact, I'd argue that most folks have probably already made up their mind about this motorcycle. But again, seriously, stick with me on this. One thing this bike does not need though is a new dashboard, because it's got a gigantic 12-inch dash. But most bikes don't, and that's why our sponsor Chigee is so cool. They make universal dashboards that allow you to put a TFT touchscreen on your old beat-up naked bike, cruiser, or sport bike, because that's what universal means. Seriously though, the AIO6 is an all-in-one dash that combines touchscreen, Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, OBD compatibility so you can pull data from your bike, and dash cams that are always recording so you can track your rides. I really like having them on my track bikes because they can record your laps for you when you might not be able to have an action cam mounted up. The AIO6 is also swappable from bike to bike, so if you have multiple motorcycles, you can just unhook it and slap it in another cradle and then ride off. Check out everything that Chigee has to offer and get 10% off your order with the code SPITESCORNER. And with that, let's hit the road.
Alright, so the biggest question that you have to ask about the Road Glide ST, I think, the CVO Road Glide ST, is how does a bike that is marketed as this like big ass sport cruiser, how does it handle in the Twisties? That is the biggest question mark that I have about something like this. Because you get on one of these bikes and the first thing you notice is like, oh boy, there's a lot of motorcycle to throw around. You know, even though this may or may not feel lighter than the base model, there is a lot of motorcycle here and A lot of it is in front of you. A lot of it is behind you. You're like, it's a monster. This is one of the biggest motorcycles I've ever ridden. The size and the weight, it carries itself so well. Like side to side, I've never felt a Road Glide that feels like this. It is amazing how good this feels. I would never have expected a Road Glide to be able to do this sort of thing. Usually, you know, you go through these corners and you're a lot more ponderous, you're a lot more slow and contemplative and stuff like that. But no, this thing wants to party. It's such a unique vibe, especially the bars. I'm noticing the bars, the position, I don't know, how do I say it? It's a lot more flat. Your hands are in a more sporting, more aggressive attack stance than I'm normally used to on a bike like this. It really comes down to the suspension on this bike, I think. I think having the adjustable suspension on here, the increased ride height in the rear, I've said it 1,000 times, I'll say it again. Being able to raise the rear end on one of these Ass Dragon baggers, it really livens up the handling so much. It makes a massive difference. I could only imagine what this would be like with a quick shifter on it. I was just riding the Pan Am ST, which Jen is on it behind me, and my brain is still in quick shift mode. But yeah, it's such a lively engine. This is the first Milwaukee 8 that I've ridden, and I've just been like, yeah, go get it, bud. Because I tend to find that the modern Milwaukee 8s are so smooth and so, I don't know, just a little bit more bland than some of the older motors, like the Evo motor. The character of that thing is that it just wants to shake your eyeballs out. But it's got a great power curve, you know? And the Milwaukee 8 also has that, but you're so isolated from the motor. This is the first one that I've ridden where I'm just like, nah, this is cool. This is really cool. And you'll notice I really kind of had to hop on the brakes there. We got big arse Brembos, as the Brits might say. They stop this bike good. And there is a lot of bike to tow down. But this thing's got such a squiddy character to it, where it's just like, I want to go faster. Get out of the way, farmer. You're messing with the flow, you know? Normally you could just be sit back and cruise and chill out. This bike doesn't want to cruise and chill out. It's the first big-ass bagger I've been on that has a sport mode on it. And it really feels like it wants to sport. And so being stuck behind this Toyota Highlander, I'm just like, dude, get out of the way! I had to do it. I had to do it to him. But you heard me hit the rev limiter twice, right? That's one thing that you're going to notice on this bike is because it just feels so aggressive, like it just wants to fucking go all the time. Just when it gets fun is when the motor's done, and it's like, you gotta shift, man. I don't got anything left for you. How do you get a bike like this to feel this good on the side of the tire? Why? Why isn't every one of them like this? Like, if you put a guy who's like not been on a big fancy fun bagger, and you put him on a big fancy fun bagger, he's just gonna be like, oh, my electric glide from 70 years ago just feels so lame by comparison. Oh my god, it's putting such a smile on my face, and I love it. I love it. But we gotta pull over and we gotta talk about some of the cons on this machine, because as awesome as it is still, it's got a lot of problems that are inherent to the Road Glide platform that I experienced that we do have to talk about.
Now, we're going to come back to this con a little bit later, but it's the first thing I got to mention about this motorcycle is this is a spicy meatball. This thing starts at $45,000. And there's an optional version that is 50 Gs. That's called the Hot Lap. Now, this is a CVO, that's Custom Vehicle Operations. It's the like top tier, top shelf version of the Road Glide that you're gonna find. And there is a lot of stuff on here to justify that price tag, but there's no getting around that. That is a very, very, very expensive motorcycle. Now, the rest of the cons actually kind of have to do with fitment on this thing, because one of the things I always notice about the Road Glide is, despite its size, it really never feels quite right for me from the factory. This one is better because if I were to put my feet up on the pegs, because of where the seat is at on this thing, I'm not as like pushed up here. I feel like I'm always sitting on top of the gas tank when I'm on one of the Road Glides. But this one, it feels like it's in the right position. The seat shape on this is also really great. We still have this big elbow of an intake that is bullying my knee out for space though. It doesn't help that my boots have this big like knee shin guard thingy that when I'm moving around and grabbing pegs and stuff, I don't know, this always bumps around. It looks cool, I get it. It's a great intake. Another thing I did notice is while the handlebar shape is really great on the road, it feels really great when you're chucking it through a corner, they're a lot flatter than I'm used to. The position is just a little bit odd. I feel like if I were to roll them forward a little bit, it would help, but I don't know. If it were me, I'd have to find a different handlebar solution. And then if I'm honest, really the last con is it just feels to me like as soon as it's getting fun, as soon as you're revving it out and getting in the power and really getting after it, it's like, nope, I'm done, time to shift. And it's very abrupt. It just cuts power right at like 5,500 RPM and it is done. That to me really feels like it's done more out of mechanical sympathy than anything else. It feels like this motor could rev just a little bit farther and be totally fine. So I'd like to see maybe 6,000 RPM out there. Then you get some more impressive horsepower numbers too. But beyond that, I mean, the fit and finish on this thing, it is very, very nice. The bags feel good, the seat feels good, shifting feels good, the levers feel good. The instrument cluster looks great. This is actually my first time on this new gigantic laptop screen of an infotainment center, and it looks great even in the sun. It really is a premium product. It's hard to get away from that. But there's gonna be a lot of guys out there who are looking at this and they're maybe cross-shopping it against some other cruisers or other sport tours because they see ST on the side and they're just like, the price, the power does not compute. Which actually gives me a good segue into where I think the next step is for something like this.
Oh, that's fun. I don't know, it feels appropriate to me that we're doing all of this out in Wisconsin, in the cornfields outside of Milwaukee. It feels so right. This is like, it's where the bike was meant to be, right? These big, long, 2-lane country roads, and you're just cruising, listening to your stuff blasted out of the boombox. No! This is the first iteration of the Road Glide I've been on, where this right here, what it's designed to do, just cruise, feels wrong. That's so weird. It's so weird to say that this bike, it, like, don't get me wrong, it does it. It does it as good as any other Harley does. But knowing what this is capable of, it makes this feel like, why am I here, man? Get me to a twisty road. Oh man, it's just got this aggressive, angry vibe to it that I would never have expected from a Road Glide. Never in 1,000 bajillion years would you expect a factory Road Glide to feel this, like, I don't know, this taut, this pulled together. It feels like we're finally reaching the final form of the Road Glide, right? Problem is, in order to do that, You have a astronomical price tag on this motorcycle, right? You have so much going for it. It's so good on the side of the tire. The brakes are so good. The suspension is fully adjustable. We finally have the features that a sporty rider like myself would want out of one of these motorcycles. Now, is this a premium product? 100%. This is a premium product. It is fitting that it is priced high. You know, I would pay 30 grand maybe for all the stuff that's in here. Me personally, this feels like at 30 G's, you're throwing it up against stuff like the XD Oval and the Rocket 3, and you're partying. You're throwing down. You're competitive with those. At 45 and 50, it's just like, dude, what's going on? You okay? And I think therein lies the problem, right? What I'd love to see, the technology that we saw in the CVO RR is so amazing. The technology, the riding experience that we have here is so incredible. Like, I'm struggling to find fault with it other than the usual, like, Road Glide stuff. You know, the heavy breather kind of causes me to be bumping my knee and stuff, and the Batwing, I need to adjust it so that I have a little bit more, you know, airflow and stuff. There's like the usual stuff that you normally need to do to one of these motorcycles. I get what Harley is doing. I really do, especially with the CVO RR. That is, we have no holds barred. We're gonna make the best bike we possibly can make. We're just gonna throw caution to the wind and do whatever. But that's great. You have to offer something that allows the normies to get into it. Because in a world where if Harley is doing what I think they're doing, where they're slowly rewiring the brains of their riders to acknowledge this sportier segment, and you want to bring in the younger audience is not going to get one of these motorcycles. And so they're not going to get what I'm getting out of it, because I'm in a privileged enough position to come ride this thing. Not everybody can do this, and so not everybody experiences what I'm experiencing here. They can't see what this machine is capable of doing. And if you were able to get somebody as close to this, again, you don't need the full 121, you don't need the Olins, you don't need the Brembos. Get us like Nissan brake calipers and stuff like that. Then people are going to understand, and you start breaking that like myth of the Harley being this big dumb bagger, you know? Let me know what you guys think about this thing down below. I expect this video to be a little bit polarizing, but yeah, let me know your thoughts down in the comments. And a huge shout out to the folks at Harley Davidson for bringing me out to check this thing out. It is so cool to ride. It's so cool. I actually originally I didn't love the look of the new Batwing, but especially with this right here, it looks cool. It looks like it's getting fully fared, you know? I don't know. Let me know all your thoughts down in the comments below, and I'll catch you in the next one. See you later.